quarterbacking. He's meant to our decade teams. A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified gold.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all.
The greatest of all time.
You're the greatest of all.
The greatest of all time.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker! I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at quarterbacking. He's meant to our decade teams. A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified gold.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker! I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at quarterbacking. He's meant to our decade teams. A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified goat.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker. I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at quarterbacking, he's been to our decade teams. A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
Who the hell is this guy? It's a sports show. We're supposed to be talking about sports
He's
around
very
here.
dressed up.
I mean, he looks like a journalist. This guy looks credible.
Andy Richter.
He's
I got the scoreboard, man.
Andy Richter. You think Andy Richter?
I used to get that more before I lost a little bit of weight, but yeah, I've heard that before. Definitely.
All right. He is a national columnist for the Washington Post. He is the author of the new book, Aftermath, The Last Days of the Baby Boom and the Future of Power in America. And we are a sports show, and I don't like doing politics for as often as I get accused of doing politics, but it seems like it shouldn't be a normal day when the most recent American president is being indicted and turning himself in today. So can you just, and thank you for joining us, he's Philip Bump.
Sure.
Can you just sort of give us where this is headed, what we're doing, because this seems fairly chaotic when I'm reading reports that Trump is practicing his perp walk and, trying to incite violence.
Yeah, I mean, in general, this is a fairly standard thing, right? You have someone who's accused of white-collar crime, they come down to Lower Manhattan, they get booked, they go through an arraignment, and that's it, right? We saw this with this guy Weisselberg, Alan Weisselberg, who's the CFO for Trump, the Trump Organization, did this a year or two ago, and he just came into the courtroom, he hears the charges, and he leaves. But this is Trump, right? So it's this huge bonanza, this circus, this gala. There's protesters and counter-protesters down in Lower Manhattan. But the upshot is this. The expectation is that he's going to go into court shortly after 2 o'clock today. He's going to leave from Trump Tower in a little bit here to do some of the sort of behind-the-scenes paperwork stuff. He's going to appear in court. He's going to hear the charges that have been filed against him by a grand jury. It's expected there's more than 30 of them. People sort of, I think, misunderstand what the charges are. People assume they're sort of based on the hush money that he paid to Stormy Daniels, the porn star. It's really not that is our expectation. It's actually because the Trump Organization tried to cover up that they were paying Michael Cohen back for the hush money. That appears to be what it's going to be, but we really don't know. And we're going to wait and see what happens once the charges are unsealed.
That's a true thing you're saying. We really don't know. The reason that this hasn't been more of a story and he can throw clouds in the air that confuse people who are part of his cult is because these announcements should have some weight, need to have some weight. What constitutes weight to make his people think that there's something fair happening here?
I mean, look, Donald Trump got into politics by saying he felt like he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and they wouldn't lose any support. And I think that's true, right? I mean, I think if there were video of him, leading the charge into the Capitol on January 6th, his supporters would be like, well, that's obviously an FBI guy dressed up like Trump, right? Like, there's nothing that's going to happen, particularly with charges that are, I referred to this back in January, sort of a bank shot. Like, that, pretty clearly they're going through a few levels here in order to make these charges against Trump. Which isn't to say he didn't violate the law or deserve this, but it definitely is a complicated situation. I don't think there's anything that's going to be unveiled in court today where his supporters are going to stop and be like, oh, wow, that really changes my perspective.
Is there anything that you can see today that will be illuminating?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what the charges are. If they are as we expect, this charge, basically, it's a charge on falsifying business documents. And because they were in service, theoretically, of this other crime, this hush money payment that should have been reported as a campaign expense, that kicks it up to a felony. Now, there are 34 charges, apparently, according to reporting, most of which other reporting has suggested are felonies, which probably means that each time Donald / the Trump organization cut a check to his former attorney, Michael Cohen, that's going to be a new charge, right? If it's anything beyond that, if it's anything beyond this string of payments back to Michael Cohen, that's going to be interesting. As it seems right now, based on our understanding, it's sort of a very complicated white collar crime sort of thing.
What's the worst case scenario for Trump today? Worst case.
The worst case scenario is something totally out of the blue. That it, for example, loops in this other hush money payment that was made by the parent company of the National Enquirer, Karen McDougal, who is this Playboy actress with whom he allegedly carried on an affair for several months. I think the worst case scenario is that it is worse than expected, right? I don't think it's going to be any immediate felony like embezzlement or, something that's more serious and people can immediately grasp. I feel like we would have heard about that prior to now. But I think the worst case scenario obviously the long-term worst case scenario is he gets convicted of a felony, right? But for today, I think it's just that something comes out of the box that he wasn't expecting.
How common is it for a high-profile defendant to not have to subject themselves to a mugshot and do some of the other embarrassing aspects of this, being cuffed and whatnot?
It's not terribly common, but look, I think it's totally fair for the court system. The concern that the Secret Service has, and remember, he's rolling into the courtroom with Secret Service protection, which is atypical for someone who's being arraigned for a crime. But the Secret Service doesn't want to have to go through this additional step of going and getting his picture taken because they're trying to limit the amount of movement he's doing. And no one on this planet is unfamiliar with what Donald Trump looks like. It's not like he's going to hightail it and then show up at a diner in Kalamazoo and people will be like, who the hell is this guy, right? Like there's no need for a mugshot of Donald Trump.
So would paying this off in a lump sum have been a better move?
That's a great question. If the charges are what we expect them to be, then yeah, it would have been, because then you're only opening yourself up to one falsified document or, potentially a string of them related to that. Anyone looking to do this sort of hush money payment in the future, there's a tip.
Does Trump face potential additional legal trouble from the way he has just vilified the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg?
I don't know if he faces any additional from Manhattan, but he definitely does in other places. Like New York State is still investigating. Fulton County in Georgia is still investigating Donald Trump's effort to try and overturn the election results in 2020 there. And then, of course, there's multiple federal probes. There's a federal probe of his efforts to overturn the election, and there's the one related to his having these documents with classified markings at Mar-a-Lago. So there's lots of other things. And honestly, I think one of the under recognized aspects of this indictment is it lowers the political pressure for those other people to move forward with an indictment, right? They don't have to be the first ones jumping in the pool. If you are the DA in Fulton County, right, you don't have to worry as much about being the first person to drop an indictment on Donald Trump. It's already happened. So I think that probably increases the likelihood we see other indictments.
I want Trump to be a flight risk.
He's got a plane, man. I don't know.
A big one.
What do you say to the people who say to you, well, you're an evil media member, you don't deal in facts, you're in cahoots with the government and everyone else who's out to get our beloved leader because you're an evil asshole fake media guy?
Sure. You'll be surprised to learn I don't spend a lot of time talking to such people. And I just say, well, I'm not. I mean, what are you going to say? Right? Like, no, I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit here and try to litigate my entire background for people who obviously are acting on irrational assumptions.
So if he goes to prison, does Secret Service privileges extend to the yard?
It's funny, but yeah, like Slate actually looked at this. The odds are good.
So
that yes,
Secret Service
he would actually have Secret Service.
would serve prison time with him.
Yeah. I mean, look, the odds that Donald Trump does a bid, I think, are pretty low. But yeah, if it were to come to that, yeah.
It's nice to know you have it, though, in the event that you go in,
Right, might as well plead, hell, yeah.
But then this becomes much ado about nothing, right? If none of this can harm him and he's not going to actually spend a day in prison, it's just us doing publicity for Trump.
It's going to help.
Well, I mean, look, I think there are two things to keep in mind. The first is that basically the commentary we're making here about, a white collar guy probably not going to prison, that's an indictment of the white collar criminal system, right? That's not specific to Donald Trump. But secondarily, I think it does actually have an effect. A lot of Trump supporters are arguing this is the point, is to have this effect. But I think it does have an effect on people who might, if Donald Trump does end up running against Joe Biden in November 2024, I think there are going to be people who are like, I don't love Joe Biden, but I'm not really sure I want a dude who's, been indicted or currently, facing a criminal trial to be president of the United States. I think it will have that effect at least, which, of course, Donald Trump and his allies are really seizing on.
Give me an amount of money you think Trump is costing himself by not having the mugshot turned into merch.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, look, the part of the problem is we rely on Donald Trump for the numbers about how much he sells on this stuff. So, it's sort of, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
I'm just saying he should advocate for the mugshot.
He should insist
on the
mugshot.
He'll probably do, why doesn't he just do a fake one and put it on there? Who cares, right? I mean, you remember his NFTs that he did that were total bomb? Like, those had all sorts of weird
those were amazing.
Those.
Are you interested? I got 3 of them.
I bet. I'll give you $5.
Did Trump make a terrible decision?
You want an Obi-Toppy one?
Starting his own social media outfit instead of just staying on Twitter?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, the Forbes just came out and said that he'd taken a bath on it. His net worth is down, I think, $700 million, based in large part on Truth Social not doing very well. But on the flip side, look, he's an addict, right? He loves Twitter. He was off Twitter until Elon Musk bought it, and it gave him this outlet. Was it worth it to him? I think he probably would feel that it was. Is it going to be a good business decision? I don't really think so.
I don't know if you have to answer this question objectively, but what do you view as the worst of the Trump accused crimes?
I mean, I think that on the scale of American history, which is sort of what we can look at when we're talking about a president, his business covering up how it's repaying hush money is, okay. I think his trying to overturn the 2020 election is obviously a lot more dire. And I think one of the reasons that we're seeing this happen first is because that case is a much more complicated one. And I think it's one that probably is in the offing.
Aftermath is the name of the new book, The Last Days of the Baby Boom and the Future of Power in America. Why should people be reading it? What are you telling them that they don't already know?
I mean, really what it focuses on is the fact, and people really forget this, that the baby boom was this massive, massive, massive group of people, and people really don't understand the scale of it, and all of them are hitting retirement age. And a lot of the stuff we're seeing now, a lot of the tensions in politics stem from this group of older Americans who have long been given every resource they want, now having to fight for it with younger generations. Donald Trump, just to tie it back into the day's conversation, one of the first baby boomers, one of 4 baby boom presidents, and really reflects an aspect of the baby boom generation that we're seeing as very, very prominent and powerful in politics today.
Here's the question of the day, the most important question of the day. 5 titles, 24 years. Do you consider UConn to be a dynasty?
Look, man, I went to Ohio State, so I don't mess with NCAA basketball. But if we want to talk about football, I'm happy to do so.
No, sir. See you later. You're bumped. Philip bumped. See you later. Totally deserved.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I lose, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin.
quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
Baby, one scotch at the Roxy. Come on now.
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go. Now we're all drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to.
I have a stat here for the stat master. The intern, Mike Schur, was trying to get a promotion, tried to get his way into the Looks Like tournament by writing stuff. He and Adam McKay were not good enough. Neither one of them had anything that was in the tournament, so he stays an intern. How do you feel about this John Hollinger stat? He thinks he's better at stats than you are. He says the Atlanta Hawks are now 39-39. They have scored 9,209 points and allowed 9,210 points. They are 24-24 against the East and 15-15 against the West. They have been within one game of 500 for 72 consecutive days.
Wow.
Can I tell you about the sad life of a stats intern? I have been noting for a while in my daily travels around the internet that the Hawks are really mediocre. And I was literally, I'm not joking, in the middle of going like, how long have the Hawks been 500? And poking around and going like, maybe there's a stat here for the show. And then a friend of mine texted me that tweet. And I was like, oh, all right, there you go. All that good work, all that stats research out the window because Hollinger got there first.
It is a hard, cruel world trying to climb in the stats business and at Meadowlark Media. So let's play the stat of the day music. See how he's doing here today.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Today's stat of the day is brought to you by Venmo. Your money, your move.
Folks, as some of you might know, I'm from Connecticut. The Nutmeg State. It's a small, charming chunk of rocky land in the Northeast, rife with beautiful fall foliage and people who look like Carl Ravitch. One of whom I suppose is the actual Carl Ravitch. Here is some trivia about Connecticut. We invented the phone book. We invented the Frisbee. We invented the rubber band and the hamburger. We have Yale University, thought by most people to be one of the top 200 or so junior college programs east of the Mississippi. And we have achieved college basketball dominance.
Yes. It's
dominance,
yes,
Dan.
It's dynasty. It's a dynasty.
Dominance.
Stugotz proclaimed it. He says you're a dynasty. He said it today. He announced it earlier in the show.
Here are some facts about the UConn basketball program, men's and women's. First of all, the men's program played 17 games outside the Big East this year, including the tournament, won them all by double digits. They won every game of this tournament by 13 or more. That's never been done before. Since 1995, here's your real stat of the day. Since 1995, which is most of Mike Ryan's adult lifetime, 16 national championships, 11 women's, 5 men's, for a state of 3.6 million people. That is one title for every 225,000 people in the entire gall-dang state of Connecticut, which is why they call Storrs, Connecticut, Titletown, USA.
Do you put it on the poll, do you respect people less when they say gall dang, no matter how good their stats?
Don't care. Today, don't
yes,
care.
yes.
Respect me as little as you want.
I was telling Mike earlier in the business of sports, because we were talking about what's happening with the women's games, because these numbers, Stugotz, I think were a little bit crazy on the ratings. I think the numbers might have surprised some people when you look at 9.9 million people watching the women's championship game.
It peaked at 12 million people, and it's interesting because the rights for that tournament, which are packaged into a larger NCAA tournament, are now up for bidding, and the NCAA is wondering what they should do. They have to sell that as a separate entity. Like, the sport has grown so much, people love it so much, There's no way you could just package that in now.
But let me explain to people what's presently happening right now, because he talked about UConn, and that program was dominant and pioneered some of this stuff, but also wasn't making money. As at its most successful, filling its arena, that was not a moneymaker. They were not reporting profits as Kingsport, filling arenas. So now you go from that to, in the pioneering, through the pandemic. You remember the story of the pandemic. The women got to the gym and they're like, why are the men's facilities so much better than ours?
Yeah.
This is garbage. It's offensive to anybody's paying attention. Now, the number that they did on Saturday, listen to this, Stugotz. Bigger, obviously, than the Emmys, than the Golden Globes, almost by double, okay? But also bigger than 11 of the 15 nights of the Olympics on NBC. Bigger than as big as the Sunday Masters. As big as the NFL Draft. Bigger than the Orange Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. Bigger than any last year for Thursday Night Football. Bigger than the 2021 NBA Finals. Bigger than the finale of Last of Us. Bigger than all of the All-Star games. All of them. Bigger than Heat Celtics Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals. Bigger than Notre Dame USC. Bigger than Alabama against Texas A&M in prime time. Bigger than Alabama LSU. Bigger than the Big 12, Pac-12, ACC title games. That's batshit crazy, Mike. That's crazy, the revenue stream that just popped up from those shitty locker rooms during the pandemic.
First of all, why are you trying to harsh my mellow, man? I'm excited about UConn, and you just start chanting stats about how big the women's tournament was. UConn didn't win the women's tournament. I don't want to talk about the women's tournament. I want to talk about the UConn men. But fine, we'll talk about it.
No, an elaborate distraction
technique
to not get you to talk about the UConn men.
Marsh my milk.
Here's what it shows. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and arguably Kim Mulkey were the biggest stars in either tournament this year. Those were the three people that people were talking about. Next year, Caitlin Clark comes back. UConn gets AZ Fudd back, who missed the whole year with an injury, and Paige Becker's back, who missed the whole year with an injury for the second time. There will be South Carolina and Dawn Staley trying to get back to glory and probably our number one seed preseason. There's going to be a bunch of really good storylines in the women's game. Stugotz is right. They should sell it separately. It's a huge tournament now. People care. When there are stars, people care. It doesn't matter what the sport is. That tournament this year had narratives and storylines that were better than any of the men's narratives and storylines because the men's tournament wasn't that great. There weren't that many good narratives. So the women's tournament had more ratings. It's not rocket science. Like, stuff gets watched on TV when, especially tournaments, 6-game tournaments, build and build and build, and people get invested in the players and in the personalities. So if that happens again next year, I'm sure the women will outrate the men again. It's not complicated.
It does make you wonder, Mike, if the audience has always been there. They just needed a platform, just needed to be on ABC.
And coverage and support.
Right.
And parity. They needed parity because the reason that UConn won 11 titles. They haven't won since 2016. So they haven't been that team in a while. The days of Dan Taurasi and Sue Bird and all those folks are not gone. They're still great every year, but it's been a while. And the problem in the old days, and by that I mean 95 to 2011, was no one was challenging them. You need a dynasty, and then you need the dynasty to get knocked off. And that's why the Notre Dame game against UConn with the buzzer beater in the corner was like the biggest game to that point, because it was like people like David beat Goliath. That was what was so exciting about it. And now what you have with what Dawn Staley's done in South Carolina and what Notre Dame has done in the last 10 years or so, and now these teams like Iowa, Caitlin Clark, 10 years ago, Caitlin Clark had two choices: go to Tennessee or go to UConn. Now, Caitlin Clark doesn't do that. Angel Reese doesn't do that. These players don't have to go to one of those 2 or 3 schools because there's more parity. So the storylines in women's basketball at the college level are much better they have a much brighter future, I would say, the next 10 years than men's basketball.
I happened to be at Hobby Airport in Houston during the women's final, and the crowd around those TVs watching that game, I was stunned. I would have associated with Duke, Kansas men's game or something. And I'm wondering, Mike, do you think that's an outlier because a lot of people didn't particularly love the men's Final Four, or is this sustainable? Is this the beginning of equity in college basketball?
It's sustainable depending on the players and the personalities. Like, I don't think it's more complicated than that. If the women's tournament next year has a bunch of sort of middling games, I mean, look at the men's final was a 5 and a 4?
Yeah.
Playing each other.
Yeah.
And, UConn was the best team in the country for most of the year. They had a bad month. They had a bad January. But for the rest of it, they were the best team in the country for the most part. But no one pays attention to the regular season. People only pay attention to the tournament. And so I think it's to me, it's year to year, team to team, personalities to personalities. If they're exciting and interesting and cool, men or women, people get swept up in it. People got swept up in Caitlin Clark for, by the way, partly because she shoots like Steph and partly because she's a trash talker. And that was exciting. And then they got invested in the idea of, okay, can LSU come out of nowhere and knock her off? And not like she was essentially a heel for the whole year. That's what people forgot conveniently in the Keith Olbermans and the whoever's of the world forgot that this was a wrestling heel getting defeated. But that's exciting. That's cool. Like that's why this game was fun. That's why the tournament was fun this year on the women's side, more so than on the men's side, is because the people involved captivated the audience. So I think it's just year to year if you get those personalities. And by the way, I think that people like Angel Reese, that entire LSU team, Caitlin Clark, a long time ago, Diana Taurasi was the first person I remember being that person of like, she talks shit the way that athletes do. And it became fun to root against her. Or if you're from Connecticut like me and Carl Ravitch, you root for her. That's just what makes sports fun, regardless of gender or what year it is or whatever. So I think it's entirely dependent on whether people step into those roles.
You mentioned the personalities, and I think that the women's college basketball game is so well positioned because via NIL, they're actually going to make more money in college than they would if they go to the pros. So you'll have these people burst onto the scene and be storylines. I don't know how much more eligibility Caitlin Clark has. Does she have like 2 more years? She's going to be hanging around this sport, being awesome. And being her star is only going to grow. So I'm really excited about what NIL has afforded this sport because it is absolutely having a moment. I had a similar experience to Greg. I was in a sports bar, and for the first time in my life, all the TVs were tuned in to a women's sporting event, and the sound was on, and people were living and dying with the game, and it was great to see. It's fantastic.
It's a great point because wasn't Angel Reese the #1 NIL athlete, I think? At least in the women's game.
Yeah,
I think one of the top ones overall. And like it's a great point though, because also NIL means they don't have to check their personalities at the door anymore.
No.
They're not worried about like, am I okay? Do I need to like sort of make myself small and presentable and try to get into the next, get into the WNBA or whatever. Like they don't have to worry anymore. They are freed up to just live their best lives on the court and be exactly the kind of people they want to be, and that's what makes it exciting.
Lends itself more to parity too, because you don't have to go to these legacy programs anymore. The Cavender twins did so much for their own marketing and value by just moving from Fresno or Miami, just being around this media market did so much for their brand. You don't have just the 2 choices that Mike alluded to earlier.
Mike, you mentioned Oberman, and I just wanted the liberal racism of the White House. I remember a friend of mine, when he saw that Trump had someone on The Apprentice, a black friend of mine, and the black guy clearly won. And Trump was like, nah, tie between the black guy and the white guy. My friend was like, I'm out on Trump, man. I saw what just happened there. The White House inviting both teams to that. I know Joe Biden means well.
Well, they didn't invite him yet. They suggested they would invite him. But it was Joe Biden.
But I mean, I know she means well, but I don't think she's paying attention to you can't give the white team the participation trophy there when the black team wins.
Yeah, that was a well-intentioned mistake, I believe. It was a mistake, let's be clear. But like, she was thinking, I would imagine, like, what an incredible event. She was looking at the same numbers you were looking at and looking at the fact that the nation was captivated for the first time as a whole by a women's college basketball final and thinking, like, let's celebrate the whole thing. What she wasn't, Dr. Jill was not looking into or thinking about to her detriment was the optics of, like, hey, a team of largely black players just defeated a team of largely white players. Let's invite them all. Everybody in the pot.
You think she's inviting LSU if they lose? I mean,
well, that's actually a good question.
That is
And
a
my,
good question.
I would venture to guess she would have. That's what I mean by it was a well-intentioned mistake. It was,
Let's
but it
invite
was
her.
certainly a mistake, and I think it will be reversed and corrected.
See you later, Mike. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
I'll spend all night out in Venice. Then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling. But I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
It is!
Baby, one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thin bowl of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
Get it!
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, Kyle Brady.
Need a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good.
I am genuinely fucked up right now.
To the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Let's do another round of shots. One more round.
It's showtime, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelce, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but headings.
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I lose, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
Baby one scotch at the Roxy.
I don't like what's happening here behind the scenes. Jeremy's making an aggressive push for I don't know what. Jeremy, Mike, you're getting irritated. I don't know why he's still here. I thought you fired him.
I don't understand this tone.
think
And
that's
he
tomorrow.
just asked me, hey, do you want me to start this segment? I'm like, bud, you fill in for Will Manso twice, and all of a sudden, your head so big you can't walk through the door.
But also your head's bigger, and he's trying to keep up because you just came back from L.A. and now everyone's got a problem with everyone around here as the fight for power continues.
I love Greg.
Look at Billy over there
Thank
saying,
you.
"No, I've got no problem with anybody."
Me and Billy are good.
No.
Yeah, I just don't care.
I don't like the accusatory tone in a Jeremy as he was leaving. He was like, you were gone for a week, like I was just on vacation or something. Like I wasn't working to protect everything I've worked so hard over the course of 20 years to build.
It's like you were just watching a lot of wrestling.
I was doing a lot of that, a lot of drinking
in the Final Four.
A lot of drinking.
So what were you doing?
Mostly selfies.
Deals and
nice.
stuff. He's working for Meadowlark Media. This is a true story, not making it up.
Asking, how's your Bloody Mary? That's what I probably did the most in LA.
I wish I was making this up. I'm not making this up. In the org chart, when they were starting the scaffolding around our company that moves soon to new studios, Mike Ryan.
Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Mike Ryan, in the org chart, demanded, I'm not making this up, this was actually something that had to be negotiated with Skipper, who did it very reluctantly. Mike wanted in the org chart, maker of cool shit as his title. Reports to no one. Maker of cool shit reports to no one, and it's a power play now. He's trying to make a movie producer play now, and Jeremy wants his job. Jeremy's getting aggressive. Jill Biden just released.
Jeremy wants every Miami sports media
He does.
job, though.
He does. That's true. It's getting unpleasant.
Time.
Yes, it's unpleasant. It's aggressive. It's greedy. I don't know how is he getting them all. Stop interrupting me. Get out of here. 2 minutes.
Oh, no!
Wow. Can you give Tony?
Somebody
can you give
else
Tony
read
the
it.
statement? From
Somebody
Joe
else
Biden?
read what he wanted to start the segment with, which
Tony
is
can't read, though.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me.
There's helpful Billy eating chips. Billy, you read it. Eating chips. The Jill Biden statement. Because you're not interested in helping
Well,
anybody.
once you pop, you can't stop.
Take a bite.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Press
I just had some of
secretary,
those.
for Jill Biden on her comments inviting Iowa's women's basketball team. Quote, her comments in Colorado were intended to flog the historic game and all women athletes. She looks forward to celebrating the LSU Tigers on their championship win at the White House. What does that mean? There's nothing.
No,
Big nothing burger.
She said that she's not inviting Iowa.
Iowa just got disinvited there, didn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. She was like, she said it in the moment to celebrate this movement. Hey, do you ever do the duck bill?
Oh, the duck bill.
Yeah, can you do the Pringles duck bill?
Yeah,
do it.
You gotta do it really soft though.
And then
like not it'll break.
move your head like Terry Taylor, the Red Rooster.
I have soft lips.
Yeah. Quack, quack.
Crack, crack. That's the duck's work.
Always works.
That was in my contract.
Yeah.
Fun.
Time now for Back in My Day. A promised controversial Back in My Day.
Well, I hope not, but maybe.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Easter. It's the Christian holiday celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and what better way to mark the joyous, momentous occasion than with bunny rabbits and a search for hidden eggs? The crazy thing about this holiday being associated with the bunny and eggs is that those originated as pagan symbols of spring and rebirth. The pagans' festival of Eostre celebrates the goddess of fertility, whose animal symbol was a bunny. Across the centuries, that symbol and eggs became usurped by Easter and now are inseparable from the Christian holiday. The diverse paganism community includes Wiccans, Druids, and heathens, but while it's a misconception that pagans worship the devil, it's still a rather odd historical link to the way believers celebrate the resurrection of their Christ. But enough history.
Wait, so you're saying... I'm sorry.
Okay. But enough I'll take questions after the... but enough history. Let's talk about Easter in the present age. Whatever happened to Easter egg hunts involving actual real eggs? Back in my day, in my ute, my mother and her mother would boil a couple of dozen eggs, except that Nana Doogie never said boil, always pronounced it burl. Then they'd sit around the wood kitchen table with a Paz Easter egg coloring kit, and before long, with wafts of vinegar in the air, inexplicably, those white pods of chicken offspring were a beautiful riot of shades of pastel, waiting to be hidden with care around the yard as small ones toted baskets and squealed delight at a found prize. Easter egg hunts nowadays eschew real eggs for the two-piece plastic version you fill with candy, another societal shortcut trampling tradition. Now they blame it on skyrocketing egg prices. Indeed, Cal Maine Foods, the largest egg seller in America, saw profits surge an obscene 718% last quarter because of sharply higher prices. Now, no lie, there's a growing trend of painting potatoes for Easter, or what Nana pronounced, potatoes. Meanwhile, Consumer Reports has issued a warning that those little bird-shaped Peeps marshmallow candies, also associated with Easter, may contain cancerous carcinogens. Multiple colors of the inexplicably popular treat contain the notorious red dye number 3. Well, hold the Peeps, the potatoes, and the plastic, please. Can we just get back to real eggs for Easter? Christ almighty, I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Really don't think that's controversial.
I said Christ almighty. I mean, I meant it in the right possible way.
Took the Lord's name in vain.
I thought you were
No,
gonna,
I didn't. I took it in appreciation.
I thought you were going to attack organized religion as a pivot on Back in My Day. Or
That's
you were,
next week.
Or you were going to make fun of God or something, but that's
Right.
not what you did at all.
Yeah, well, I misrepresented then, didn't I?
Like those damn plastic eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. I quoted Consumer Reports. So what I said about cancerous carcinogens, that's fine to air because I quoted a primary consumer advocate group. Peeps.
How often is Master Sunday on Easter Sunday?
It's a good question. I don't feel like it's very often.
It
to
moves,
be honest
right?
with
Easter
you.
moves
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
To have a big watch
The
party.
Masters just stayed. Easter
Memento.
moved. Yeah.
cheese sandwiches, and
Oh,
I mean, it's
love
not my
those.
Easter. I celebrate the Orthodox one, but all of this is just so confusing that it just keeps moving around.
Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are peeps disgusting and cancerous?
Be very
100%.
No, don't put cancerous. Why do you guys?
Don't do that.
All right, if it is a brand, let's just try to stay away from character assassination.
Well, this is why we need a new executive producer who's not quite so scared of sponsors.
That's right.
I mean,
I
got you, Dan. Money in the
guys,
company
we're
here.
literally coming off a benchmark that lost a sponsor.
Yes.
Okay. This is why I'm going out to LA, babe.
You have to say babe.
You do have
I'm
to
surprised
add-
it took you so long.
You do have to say
Yeah.
babe. He's right about this. It helps to add the babe.
How many eggs did Nana burl?
2 dozen. Yeah.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Yeah, I loved her. She had a little bit of British in her.
Hey, yo.
Did you guys see that Kelce Stugotz, Travis Kelce continues to increase
party.
his brand and his party? And I thought Gronk was the greatest tight end ever, but maybe if someone his age, like Kelce, keeps playing for years and years after this with that quarterback, we might have to have a different discussion. Kelce's going to try and turn tight end into star in a way that's pretty hard to do in that sport. Star that grows outside of his region. J.J. Watt was able there are only a handful of guys who get to do this, Stugotz. It's the quarterbacks and the white guys. And Kelce's got an opening here.
Right.
To get some good, fun stuff. He had the dating show when he was in Kansas City, and now he's doing a music festival the weekend of the NFL draft with Rick Ross, with Machine Gun Kelly, with Tech Nine, like a legitimate music. He's calling it Kelce Jam.
Right. It's very cool. I feel like that position, though, I feel like Gronk did it already, right? Now
Well,
Kelsey's just parlaying off
funny
of
that-
what Gronk did.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I scrolled down and it looks like a medium rare production. The people that have partnered with Shaq and Gronk for their events, and it's the same people behind this.
I'm saying Kelsey's making a play for some of the big stuff because
Yes.
he's got a big podcast and he wants superstardom. Tyreek Hill had to leave Kansas City to get superstardom, or at least a different stardom. I don't even know if it's superstardom yet for Tyreek Hill. But Kelsey's going for something beyond that. Kelce wants what the quarterbacks get. In terms of public fame that goes coast to coast and isn't just stuck in Kansas City.
He had the Gronk model, and he's following it.
Yeah,
to a
but I feel
degree.
like Kelsey's there in terms of he's probably a bigger star than most of the NFL quarterbacks, don't
I
you
mean,
think?
yeah, just hosted SNL.
Except his own.
Yeah.
Right.
And the Super Bowl was a perfect platform for everything he's trying to do because his brother was playing in it. The mother had all that attention.
It was the perfect
It was
storm
great.
for the
He's-
both of them. Yeah.
He's more charismatic than Gronk, and Gronk is plenty charismatic, but I just think Gronk has certain limitations in the way that Travis Kelce doesn't have, but it's a perfect comp. Gronk was a huge megastar, superstar in the sport, not as famous as his quarterback. Gronk started doing these music festivals. Now Travis Kelce is working with the same exact team.
But the year you decide to start a podcast, you and your brother, both your teams make the Super Bowl. Like, that's incredible.
Right.
I mean,
But it's only where it starts, though, because Jason's not going to be this. Jason doesn't have the access to
correct.
what Jason does not have the access to what
Agreed.
Travis
Right.
has the access to because he plays a skill position. And I don't think he's got more personality. He just will do more winning at a position where we'll notice that he's part of the winning.
And Travis just has a jawline.
He's better looking than Jason, is what you're saying. We're
That's what I
just
meant by the
dancing
jawline.
around it.
That's what I meant by the jawline. One's an alignment.
Well, Jason's is hidden by that beard, though. You don't know.
But that's true.
That's true.
I feel like we know.
You
And
think,
you know it.
You think, and you know it would have been good there.
And you know it. And you know it. I go both ways on that one.
Oh, do you?
And you know it. And you know it. I
It's
sort of prefer the second one.
We prefer the timing.
Yeah, well, you can't have everything. The second one lifts off like a jet airliner. And you know it.
Is there a landing?
No.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker! I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time.
Back. There's a logo here. Here's the logo. Florida Marlins. Now, you either have to go with Orestes Destrade or Chuck Carr.
Charlie Huff.
This makes me smile. The first person I thought of, Chuck Carr.
All right, Florida Marlins. I have nothing to make this about myself. First player I think of when I think of the Florida Marlins is the D-Train, Dontrelle Willis. Amazing pitcher. Had a crazy kick when he would kick lefty. He would kick up and then let it rip. I love the D-Train.
Oh, man. This is harder than you think. Who's the first person I think of when I see this logo? Benito Santiago is the first person I think of when I see this logo. Oh, my God. My favorite baseball player, my first favorite baseball player, he wore number 09. He was the coolest. And he wore 09 so that they could put the strap in between the numbers because the number 9 on his back bothered him when the straps for the catcher pads were into his back. So he did 09 so the strap would go between the numbers. And then he had at the time, it was 1993, he had a really cool teal helmet that he wore backwards. And he had a goatee. And he had a little cross chain, but it was in 1993, whereas him and Barry Bonds had that. And then when people would steal, he would pop up and on his knees, he would throw missiles to second base to throw people. Oh my God. I had a poster in my room when I was a kid growing up that had, first of all, my carpet was teal in my bedroom when I was a little kid because of how much I love the Marlins. It was teal carpet. And then I had on my wall a poster of Benito Santiago that said, "Thou shalt not steal," because he was a catcher. And then we went to an autograph signing at this mall in Broward County somewhere, and he autographed it, but it wasn't framed in a great frame. It was one of those cheap frames that you put this frame things on the side, and then it fell off because I was a rambunctious little boy, and I knocked it off the wall, and then the poster got a little bit messed up, and now it's gone forever. So I don't know how I would ever replace that poster. What was the question?
I'll spend all night out in Venice, then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
It is!
Baby, one scotch at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
Get it!
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton.
Hey guys, Brady, need a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
time, buddy.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me at Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelce, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking, but parlays, but face paint, but promo, but weddings.
I'll spend all night out in Venice and make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chat.
I complain a lot, Stugotz, about the general cruelty and addictive tendencies of social media, that the advent of some of this stuff has made us more connected and more disconnected than we've ever been. So many people in devices all of the time, just simply addicted to the acid where everyone is fighting on social media about things, but also laughing about some of the same things when things go viral and being moved or shocked or horrified by the access all of us have to more information than we've ever had access to. A video went viral yesterday that if anyone saw it in our audience, they're going to know what I'm talking about pretty immediately. A snowboarder has begun his trip with a GoPro and seems to notice out of the side of his eye that there is something to indicate to him, and I guess it's a colorful ski, something he notices on the side is out of the snow, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And it becomes pretty apparent to him, pretty obvious fast, oh my God, there's someone buried under there. They can't get out. They're stuck under the snow, and he's trying to get over there, and it's hard, cumbersome. The terrain is crazy, and this person is not visible in any way. This person is buried by snow. I have a great fear, you've heard me articulate it here before, of just being trapped somewhere upside down, sort of holding myself up upside down, trapped in a tube. I can't get help anywhere. This person is deep under the snow, and it's one of my greatest fears, to be buried alive. Just the idea of it, to have everything collapse on you in a way that's inescapable. And I thought that this snowboarder was going to arrive at a dead body, because I did not know that someone buried this deep could be breathing in the snow for as long as I imagine this person had to be breathing to be buried that deep in the snow. And when he dug this person out with a shovel, I imagine some people will question whether this is real or not, but it seemed fairly obvious to me that it was real, that this was a snowboarder who was just going to GoPro his trip and then noticed in a panic and a life and death breathing that you can hear on his voice. Maybe he's a very good actor. Maybe it's all fake. Maybe we're being fooled by this. But the horror that rose up in me at the idea of being buried alive. I think Ryan Reynolds did one of these movies where he just spent the entire time in a coffin the whole time. And I could barely watch it. I'm like sort of crawling around my bed trying to get away from the movie.
I think Kiefer Sutherland did one before Ryan Reynolds. How about that?
Are you claustrophobic?
I'm not terribly I don't think I'm diagnosed claustrophobic, but these particular things done either in real life or well in the movies can creep me out in a way that's unreasonable for me. It's not quite like anything else.
Well, considering the recurring dream, I'd imagine that you're very happy to be participating in a move presented by Miller Lite.
I think that's kind of an awkward segue.
Name of the
that
film was Buried, by the way.
Doesn't have anything to do with what
We
were
are moving
talking
studios,
about.
and that's a very tight studio
I
over
think Mike's
and
right. Yeah.
Wow, this makes so much sense. You've been experiencing trauma after trauma every time you go in that studio, and then taking it out on us.
Are you like in a water slide in your dream? Do you get stuck in a water slide?
No.
The
Oh,
tube.
you said it was a
It's a tube. Yeah,
Like
it's
Chuck
just
E. Cheese tube?
Like no, it's an upside down
Ball
tube,
pit?
but like a fiberglass tube of some sort.
a
It's not
science
Like a McDonald's playground.
Yeah.
Type
How
thing.
do you get stuck?
I'm just stuck. It starts there.
Well, look
What
at
were
him.
you
Just-
doing in
Like
there?
the tube at a pharmacy, like lane 2, like drive-through. What are you talking about?
like at a bank.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, bank tube. Right.
Ooh.
Making the same noise.
A shoot.
Yeah.
I love that noise.
It's a good noise. Underrated noise.
I think it's properly rated. I think everybody loves that noise.
Yeah, it's great.
What do you mean it's underrated?
Well, because you forget about it.
Right.
Less and less banks are using it.
Does it make
That's
that
true.
noise when you
don't
get
hear
stuck?
it.
How do you have this looking? You guys have me in a.
We're trying to understand you.
Is it a tight tube or is
Yeah.
there space
Trying to
around
help
Clearly,
you?
look at me.
You're
Well,
in a
no, I
flume.
mean, it could be a,
It's a flume.
It's not a flume.
Death by flume.
Is there water?
No, there's no
You're just
water.
upside down.
I'm just upside down, and I'm holding myself up by the arms. I'm like in a handstand position.
Oh, so,
There-
it's short. It's like
Yeah,
a short
well, but I
tube.
also can't move. It's just the pain and the suffering of I'm going to die this way. How long is this going to take?
Wow.
That's me every Monday.
But why are you holding yourself upside down?
Because it's a
impossible. You're in a
nightmare.
tube.
Yeah,
It's a
handstand.
nightmare.
You're stuck in a tube.
I
That's
did
crazy.
not get there. I don't know how I got there.
You can't do a handstand. I think.
Yes, he can.
Are your feet free?
Oh, no, I'm tight. It's tight. I'm
It's tight.
stuck.
Tight
I
up.
can't move around much at all.
Okay.
I'm stuck. Maybe
And
it's
there's no
because
opening on the top,
What
right?
are
Can't
you
get there.
wearing?
You're gonna love this new studio.
Yeah, what are you wearing? Like a full
That's a good
astronaut
question.
suit? Like
It's a
the
I'm
great
other
so,
guy?
question.
I'm so panicked that I'm not taking inventory of my clothing.
You just got to calm down in that scenario, Dan.
Right.
Yep,
Like,
stay
panic
calm.
just makes things
Yes.
worse.
You got any grease on you? Any
Yeah.
butter? You could order yourself
I'm
up?
stuck.
No,
Well, if you
oil
ha-
would be
if
the
you-
adverse effect.
We
If you
would
have-
have to
Would it really?
We would have to bring the grease and the
No, but
butter.
if,
Right.
if you
Right.
check your pockets, maybe you
Loosen
have
them up.
grease in your pockets, and the
Right.
solution's right there. But you're so panicked, you're
I
not looking
can't
for a
move.
solution.
My
Well, you can't
arms
get
are
out,
holding me
yeah.
up.
How
I
often do you have
can't-
this stream?
I can't.
Well, if you're stuck, your arms can
Weird. Yeah.
Just
The
trying to help
flume
you out.
glass? Break out of it.
Yeah.
Do you
What
think
about-
the tube represents the daily grind of producing 4 hours of content every day, and you feel trapped with no escape until finally Miller Lite comes along, offers you something that's
Well
just 96
done.
calories
Maybe
and
inside a Miller
3.2
Lite
carbs
can.
It's
Simple.
per
it's
12
a
minutes.
metaphor.
Yeah.
They say all
I would
dreams
love
have
to be
meanings.
stuck in a Miller Lite can.
Are you wearing shoes?
Again, not taking inventory of what I'm wearing.
Have you tried to like climb out of it, Dan?
Well, I can't. I'm just holding myself up. It takes all of my strength
to just
hold myself
Can you yell,
up.
help?
I am yelling. Yes, I'm screaming,
But if
no
you're
one
stuck,
can hear
you
me.
don't have to hold yourself up. You're just stuck. Right. Loosen up the hands.
It's just a very tight. I appreciate you Monday morning quarterbacking this particular situation where you would do it correctly and I'm doing it wrong. But I've thought of all of my options in this tube I'm stuck in my head.
It's
and I
tricky
can't
that
do
you're
my
upside down.
hands. I understand that you've
The
got it
upside
all
down part's
figured
hard.
out and you know exactly how to.
plan.
I understand that you would get out of this situation and then make a bunch of threes in an NBA game right afterward.
Well, sometimes when you're in it, you can't see all of the avenues. You know, we're just trying to help.
Is your face getting red?
I'm in a panic.
Yeah,
Yes.
like Brother Love red.
It's I am horrified in every way. It takes us away from the snow though, and the video that I was talking
Well,
about.
snow is edible. I just start munching away.
Yeah. You ever try to do and just suck in your tummy?
Are you able to breathe, or is the oxygen an issue?
I am able to breathe. Yes,
Is your face collapsing under its own weight?
This is what I'm telling you is the part of the nightmare. It's a bad enough nightmare that it's just happening. But the worst part of the nightmare is I am stuck here. I don't want to be saved. I want to die. But how long is it going to take for me to die? I'm going to be here
I count 19 years and
for a
counting.
long time.
Wow.
What hat are you wearing?
I'm upside down. I've lost my hat.
I'm upside down. You got to protect the lid.
Yeah.
No one can see me this way.
If you can reach your hand down.
No one can see me this way.
It is. My hair is thinning. I'm holding still that.
Hard to drink a Miller Lite
I have
upside
now
down.
moved my hand.
really is.
I have
At least responsibly.
Incredible power with that one hand, though, Dan.
I have successfully, yes, to just hide the shame of my thinning head, I am now holding myself all of the weight with one hand, but I am protecting my hat. It has not fallen off of my head.
It's got to be a metaphor for something.
It does. It really does. They say dreams have meanings.
Yeah.
what
You're
the-
stuck
big-ass
somewhere.
meaning.
What you mentioned, I believe you mentioned for the second time that dreams have meaning, and I'm a little scared at how Mike Ryan has stared into my soul. Yes, I'm stuck here in this tube.
Yeah.
Unable to escape and get to the rest of my life, holding myself up upside down while holding my hat, trying to get out of here as we continue to add fucking employees.
Dan's Career Crossroads is brought to you by Miller Lite. Just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don't worry, Dan. I'll help you out.
Scholars.
Jer beer.
Millbear.
I'm already tired of how many outlets Jeremy has access to.
It's a little weird at this point.
Maybe
come on.
Jeremy's the tube.
Hey, Miami, hire some Latin people.
Whoa! He is Latin, right?
I'm Cuban, Dan.
Wow!
Come on.
Uh-huh.
That list
That's
was
a
anything but
five.
cute,
Should be
Dan.
Jeremy Touche.
I thought you had a top 5 list of white things that you loved.
I'm also white and Jewish.
Wow.
Loves himself.
How about that?
How is it that we can't hire any Latin people who look Latin?
What do you mean? What is that supposed to mean? That
You know what that means.
That feels like the most racist thing I've heard
That
today.
is crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. I don't look Latin enough for you?
Mike, you changed your name.
Yeah, because everyone was racist then.
I mean, you got to
Okay.
And
all
then?
right.
Yeah, and then now I changed it back. Just this show's kind of grandfathered in.
Guillermo, people don't look at
The NFL ended racism?
Guillermo.
Yeah.
They don't look at Guillermo and think that he is Billy.
Don't make this about me.
Why are you stop
I'm
dragging
just
everyone
saying,
else
I'm-
into
I'm-
it?
trying to help you out
Your
of
last
this,
name is
too.
French.
We're trying to help you out.
Yeah, like I'm at least bringing it strong with a name that ends in Z.
That's true.
Come on.
Yeah.
Le Batard.
My dad, yeah, he named me Dan. He wanted to go Luis or Gonzalo, but he too was suffering from racism, so he went
Shame.
Dan.
Don't shame me. You guys always trying to tell us we're not Latin enough for you. That's why me and Cody Rhodes almost reached the top of the mountain.
It was heartbreaking the way
It
that they
was.
lost.
It was. Not since the Bay of Pigs have Cubans been so abandoned by America.
I can think of a couple things.
In my mind, by the time Sunday rolled around, like Cody was grown up Elion at that point. I'm so in on him being Cuban. Just so in.
We
Even
don't
though
have
he's-
enough. We don't have enough representation.
No. So I'll take him, but he did say picadillo, which
That
was
was
rough. That one stung.
inexcusable.
That one stung.
Inexcusable, Dan.
One stung.
Jeremy whispers, "What's wrong with that?"
I mean, that's,
get out of here.
That's
Jeremy.
just outright fraud, is it not? If you can't claim to be Cuban and then pronounce it picadillo.
And then Brock Lesnar attacked him last night. It's been a rough 24 hours for Cody Rhodes. It's just Vince McMahon couldn't help but stick it into the Rhodes family one last time before the sale.
So how do you get out of the tube?
I just wake up.
Do you wake up upside down?
Are you sweaty?
I'm scared. I'm panicked.
Little pee-pee?
Wow.
Not a little pee-pee. I mean, I always have one of those. But
hey,
Roy, what kind of sound is that, Roy? To support?
As my support for your joke there.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think we're ever going to get a card that's UFC and WWE now that they're the same company?
It's inevitable.
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that.
That's going to be wild.
Does how fascinating is it, or isn't it, to the people listening to this that that wrestling just went for like a couple of NFL teams? What it would cost you to buy a couple of NFL teams? That's a little shocking that enterprise would be valued at $9 billion and no one shrugs at it, right?
And Endeavor made an amazing deal with the UFC. The UFC was valued, they bought the UFC for $4 billion.
I think 4.
And now it's worth $12 billion, according to the deal points of this merger. They're totally different businesses. They're similar in that they're entertainment, and they're largely geared towards men, although WWE will tout their metrics with women and children. I don't know how this is exactly going to work with it being one entity. They assure, if Vince is in charge, which it would appear that he's come back and he's fully back, then he's not going to allow it to feel like anything else. It'll be a lot like the UFC with Dana, just an iron-fisted person that doesn't care about PR.
Why can't they just run in different silos and exist as two streaming companies?
It was weird, but why combine the companies? That's what they could have spun it out. It was already a privately privately held company, and then it went public, and you can just merge it with Endeavor. I'm curious as to why they spun it off with UFC. I would love to know what the plan is to have those two entities specifically. Are they going to bundle up their rights? WWE media rights deal, that is up next year. That is going to be a monster. And I guarantee you they're going to get a good price for it if Nick Khan is handling the negotiation. What we witnessed on Monday is a sports mega deal, is one of the biggest deals in the history of sports. The day has come where Vince McMahon has finally sold a controlling interest. This does set up, even though he's got the majority of stakes, it does set up a way where it could be forced out. But if he wasn't forced out by the New York Times investigation, what? And he's with Endeavor, who clearly doesn't care about these things.
Didn't he need a hiding place? I don't know the mechanics of these deals, and perhaps CEOs, like, it is pretty legendary knowledge that people at the top of companies, it takes a ton to get them out of there. He kind of needed a hiding place to not actually go, right? To not leave. He had to do a lot of maneuvering to pull levers. Is it suspicious for me to say that him teaming up here is probably because he needed it in order to stay as close to the power as he wanted to?
Yes, because he convinced Endeavor that he's the guy. He's the one that makes it run. And I'm telling you, they were doing fine without him. It is absolutely Succession. He did not want to give it to his kids. He pushed out Stephanie. The son-in-law who was running creative to much fanfare is now pushed out as basically an on-camera guy again. He even down to making Shane McMahon take one final cheer before the company sold, and a company that he wasn't inheriting. Did you know that Shane McMahon wanted to purchase the UFC and was talked out of it by his father? And now his father is sold to Endeavor and is part of this UFC company. He sends his son out there for one final cheer, and his son promptly blows out his quads. It was like, if this was an episode of Succession, it'd be 2 on the nose.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker! I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's
quarterbacking is meant to our decade teams. A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all. He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified gold.
You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker. I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at quarterbacking is meant to our decade teams.
A 6th-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.
You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all. He broke so many records and reached unattainable goals.
I said he was done 10 years ago when he shoved it down my throat.
He played the Jets twice a year and always ripped out their souls.
And just like that, he left us all wanting more. He's a certified gold.
You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all. You're the greatest of all.
Don't know the whereabouts of Greg Cody. He tends to mail it in, cash it in after he's done his back in my day. He is he's very narcissistic about this show, and he's just disappeared.
I do know his whereabouts. He made me promise not to say.
Oh, boy.
He's got to go to the bathroom.
He's taking a shit, and he doesn't like it when people know that he's taking a shit. So just act cool.
All right.
It'll be our secret until he comes back.
Yeah, just have him walk in, and business as usual. You don't want to put somebody out like that.
Should we ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, he's coming back in now. Greg, didn't know your whereabouts. You're a little late. Wanted to get to some of this Jim Nantz stuff with you because Greg Cody came in today and announced that Jim Nantz, and he doesn't mean this as insult. He just, even though it kind of feels like insult, he said that Jim Nantz is the most benign, generic, sort of boring, legendary sports announcer there has ever been.
He didn't say boring.
Yeah, that's
He
a
did say
compliment, Dan. It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it as a criticism. And you know what made me think of it is that there's one of these Charles Barkley commercials that involves Jim Nance, where he says, "Oh shucks, I was just getting ready for the Nance dance," or something like that. It portrays him in a humorous vein.
You sound a little out of breath. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Why are you so winded?
I dreamt I was in a tube. I was stuck in a tube,
Right.
and it was really, I had a lot of anxiety. I'm just coming down from that nightmare. But that was funny, and I'm trying to think to myself, when is the last time I've seen Jim Nance portrayed in a funny way, or doing anything that was other than being ultimate professional broadcaster? And I just couldn't come up with examples in my mind.
Boring, you were saying that you didn't say boring. You may not have said boring. I think of Jim Nance as kind of vanilla. I wouldn't say boring.
Well, milk toast.
But excellent.
Yes.
But always excellent.
But I think boring in a good way. He never makes himself the story.
Well, he did.
He's
no, last night became the last
Well,
Nance.
it was his final
it was
four.
the whole last Nance thing. Come on.
Last Nance.
The whole thing last night was last Nance. Come on, get out of here. Friends,
Can
everybody.
we talk about that? Do you think you would consider us friends outside of, in the real world? I don't think that he would.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is Jim Nance insincere with his friends' bullshit?
Because he calls everyone his friend, right? But
You can't be friends with everyone.
In the real world, I can't even get within probably 500 feet of Jim Nance. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like he's just, there's always a gate around him preventing me from getting to him to be his friend.
Very facetious of him to cheapen the word friendship by calling everyone a friend. If you're his real friend, you feel diminished by that because he calls everybody a friend. That's another thing not to like about Jim Nance.
Yeah.
But I'm not criticizing him. I'm just wondering, he doesn't have the, he's not Dick Vitale. He's not one of these larger-than-life funny guys, Charles Barkley. He's just a guy who's just relentlessly competent, but not known for anything other than being relentlessly competent.
And quarter zips.
The play-by-play guy, though, doesn't get to be Vitale or Barkley, does he? The play-by-play guy is always, who's the most famous play-by-play guy? Al Michaels, Joe Buck. It's never a wacky guy.
But they could, off-air, though, he could have more of a personality than he's chosen to have.
Gus Johnson shows plenty of personality. He's great at it.
And he's the only one you mentioned because he's the only one who does it that way.
Even Al Michaels has a little wink to him,
Yeah.
With his gambling references and making fun of games that are obviously terrible games. He's got more of a personality.
We're just saying, mix in a jaywalk in here or there. You know what I mean? Like a little something.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Would Jim Nance buy himself more street credibility if he mixed in a jaywalking? Because
Kevin Harlan.
Oh, that's good.
Kevin Harlan.
But Kevin Harlan's he's got personality. But getting back to Cody's question, which is there ever been a legend that plays it this straight? It's someone who's, at the end, we're like, oh, sorry, we're not friends, but friends, yes, I remember you. We'll pretend to be friends. You're not friends with us. You've got a backyard golf course because you've made so much money doing these occasional events. You sound like the Masters. You're very competent, but I didn't get to know you at all in 32 years.
Keith Jackson played it straight, right?
Oh, but he had personality that was not this. No, Keith Jackson he felt like a part of the country, like a region of the country. Keith Jackson felt like middle America.
Right. Nance's, the thing he's calling that he's most famous for is the Masters, where you don't need a lot of words to describe what's going on during a golf tournament. I don't know how wacky you could be calling golf,
But he's not a poet, right? Like you think of Vin Scully. I hear Vin Scully's voice when he did his thing, and that's poetry.
I think he's the best. I think he's the best at golf, and there is something to it.
Yeah, you got to be boring in golf. It benefits you to be boring in golf.
Speak softly as well.
Yeah.
He's got the right delivery. I think that's by far his best sport.
Definitely.
It's a different broadcast.
Yeah, but it's a different broadcast in large part due to his influence. It's all derivative, right? There's only one way to broadcast golf. You're not going to hear would I love to hear Kevin Harlan do the Masters. But
right between the eyes.
Yeah.
Down the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, I would love to see him do that, but that it's golf. It's country club. Jim Nance gives off country club.
He does. Yeah. Butler cabin, all that kind of
He's
thing.
got a $300 quarter zip.
$198 vest I'm looking at right now.
Is that on sale?
A vest. It doesn't even have sleeves.
You think you'd get a discount?
Wow. It's a broken vest.
It's a broken sweater.
Yeah, it's half an outfit.
Greg Cody, as we continue to not be satisfied with all of baseball's changes, baseball has been reluctant for so very long to make any kind of changes. There was a quaint day not so long ago where the Spider-Man movie franchise wanted to put Spider-Man ads on the bases, and baseball clutched its pearls and said, no way, you cannot sponsor anything. And now the umpires are brought to you by Bitcoin. And baseball is changing very fast all over the place. And Greg Cody's not happy in one place that it has changed. And I don't know if he's right about this, but it may be so at Marlins Park. Is it so everywhere? Greg Cody informs me that there is no such thing as a bat boy anymore. And I don't think that's accurate, but I don't know where this observation is coming from. Did you just go to a Marlins game and some of the bat boys looked older?
I've noticed this for years. The evolution is that the bat boy is now the Batman. The bat boy, the former bat boys are now, they're as big as the players are.
They've grown up.
They're bigger than Jose Altuve, but they're bigger than most players. And I long for the day when the bat boy was the cute, or girl, was the cute 8-year-old kid whose cap was way too big. And, he lent something to the game of baseball. I don't know why they switched from bat boys to Batmen.
I do.
Why?
It was because of Dusty Baker's kid running out. He was like 3 years old, and he got in the way of a live play in the World Series. And then they're like, you got to be 18 to be a bat boy.
He's hitting bombs now.
That's on Baker. That's on Baker putting a toddler out there.
Yeah.
I think there should be
That's
an age.
true.
There should be an age limit. I mean, I'm not saying it should be 7, but give me a 12-year-old who looks like a kid.
Do your ABCs, you know what I mean?
It's lost its charm. You're right.
I don't want a 200-pound bat boy.
Right.
It's ridiculous. He looks like he should be batting, not picking up a stray ball. Bring back the bat boy. For crying out loud.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Bring back the bat boy for crying out loud.
Yeah. And you know
I'm
it.
snorting.
A snort.
It's a good back in my day, by the way,
it
Greg.
could be, yeah.
Get to work on it.
He's used them all.
I'll recycle it
No
next week.
ideas left.
Bring it
from
back,
in my
Jack.
day.
Yeah, that's right. I'll recycle that next week.
Who were you guys telling me about the other day? I don't know this Russian internet star, Hezbollah. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, he broke the internet's #1 rule. He fucked with cats, but he apologized, and you know what? Forgiven.
This person who
He's not Russian. It's a fine.
He's not? Are you sure?
Yep.
I thought he was a Russian internet famous
Dagestani?
person.
Look it up.
Are you sure, or did you just read the internet wrong?
I'm just trusting Billy.
Oh, that's a bad move by you. I mean, $5 for what? For trusting. It should be the biggest fine. Like it's
I trusted
like,
Lewis.
You do any number of
Oh, no.
Lewis, get out, and don't put him on camera either because he loves that. Like, get him out. Out.
What is Lewis doing here?
Why is he in here? Get him out. I don't want to ever see you on camera again. Get out.
Out.
When you show up. Trapped.
That's his contribution to the show. Look at how it happened. You just saw it. Thank you for nothing. We don't need more people in the room. God almighty.
Is he
Everybody
Russian?
wants to be in front of a camera and a microphone. Everybody here. There's 7,000 people working here.
Thankfully, there will be more room for people to show up in our studios, thanks to our good friends at Miller Lite, a winner of 3 World Beer Cups and triple hops brewed. Most beers, they just brew it once with hops, not Miller Lite.
Nope.
What are you laughing about?
Just the show.
Don't put him on camera. Get him out of the penalty box. Get him out of the penalty box.
Where's he going to
He
go?
wants to be on camera. Get out of here. Everybody around here wants a job in front of a camera. Fuck almighty. God.
It's one of the worst curses I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Fuck almighty.
Right.
Is that what you do in the tube? Because
The
that's
fuck
why.
would have been just fine. Yeah.
The almighty fuck.
Odd combination for profanity.
You got to be calm in the tube. That's how you.
Exactly.
Don't
Can't
overexert
panic.
yourself.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
20 years I've been in this prison.
spend all night out in Venice. Then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling, but I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin, not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Justin Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads in a convention hall.
Oh my God, is that George Clooney?
It is!
Baby once got you at the Roxy.
Come on now!
One shot at whiskey, a go-go.
There we go! Now we're drinking to avoid temptations, but a job to do. Professionals with a drink or two. Just a thimble of gin, and then I'll be locked in. After gin, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. I mean, we have been locked up for a while.
Yeah, there's no rule against covering the big game and enjoying La La Land.
Wait a minute, it's the Walk of Fame. So much to see instead of the big game. And the traffic is bad on La Brea. So come on, join me in popping tequila.
I'm just here to drink and find Lewis Hamilton. Hey
guys, Brady, a shotgun of beer or what?
I don't feel so good. I am genuinely fucked up right now.
Showtime, buddy!
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me at Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the black baller. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL.
spend all night out in Venice. Then make castles in the sand. Santa Monica's calling. But I'm here to cover the Rams. I'll stay in and avoid chateaus. If I booze, then I'm on Skid Row. Just one drink to begin. Not like that's a big sin. Just one beer, then we're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Now, Mike, you know we're here to cover the big game. It's a time to be professional and avoid all the temptations the City of Angels may have to offer. Ain't that right, Jess and Kate?
That's right. We're just here to ask quirky questions to grown men wearing their full uniforms without pads.
What are you doing in here? Get out of here! Get out of here! We got more people working around here. So annoying, man. All of these people working here. All of them want to be on camera. All of them want a microphone. Everybody wants to talk. Where's Stugotz?
Stu, what are you doing in here?
What are you doing? Get in here and do the show with me. What are you doing?
Man of the people, Dana.
Why aren't you going to see the new studios with us later? I can't hear you. You need to be near a microphone. You're familiar with how this whole thing works. The microphones, the needs for microphones.
The needs for headsets.
Everyone's very excited about this new move that we've got going on. It's presented by Miller Lite.
Oh yeah.
Hey Fuentes.
We got more employees than we know what to do with. Why is it, Mike? This is we've made a Frankenstein monster that can't be fixed here. In that we give producers microphones, and now everybody wants to be on camera, and everybody wants to be around a microphone.
It's show business, babe.
Yeah.
I mean, you started this company, and you've empowered so many people. You wanted to build a nice, diverse workforce, and you want people to know that you've done that. So you give them microphones.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
That's what you do, babe.
Yeah, I ain't giving up mine. Nobody can have my mic.
What's going on the Greg Cody show featuring Greg Cody this week that people can get that they can't get anywhere else? Because Greg Cody has been a good soldier during this company building in exchange only for promotion for his podcast. He has worked hard and diligently to build out the biggest podcast in the history of the McClatchy Company.
It's a low bar, but we're jumping it every week. Every Monday, we're coming out, Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody. And this week, Christopher and I were both in Houston for the Final Four. Had a great time. Join us on the trip. Sheets and Giggles paid for the whole thing, one of our beautiful sponsors.
He's stealing our sponsors.
No, he's not stealing. He has stolen our sponsor.
Well, you know, that kind of thing, huh? Am I right? That kind of thing. That
he is right
kind of
about that
thing.
one. You know
and
it.
you know it. That kind of thing.
You mentioned the tournament.
What?
He's right about that.
Zagacki.
That's another way to put it. Zagacki. Flying a plane. Joe Zagacki flying a plane. What's his name's plane? Kraft's plane. Bringing back UM. Anyway, you didn't know that because the Golden Canes ostracized you, kicked you out of the group when you didn't go to their Final Four. They make the Final Four for the first time ever. Golden Cane over here is watching wrestling in California.
Just watching the actual game.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Where
were we?
There's a wrestler.
We were segueing to the tournament because Dollar Shave Club presented our March Sadness, and we crowned a champion.
Stop doing this, Mike. You have to stop doing
What?
this, where you're just
Seamless-
slaloming between sponsors.
Seamless sponsorship
I didn't
integration.
want to talk about our Looks Like tournament, but we do have to crown our champion. So this is the champion of our Looks Like tournament this year, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club.
Paul George looked like your brother's friend, Devin, who everyone just calls D.
One of the weakest winners we've ever had.
That's a shame.
Come on,
It's
that's a
a
champion.
champion.
It's a
We
champion.
should
Attaboy,
salute
D.
our national runners-up, San Diego State, brought to you by.
Brandon Staley looked like he can never remember if he turned off the oven before he left the house.
There were a lot of good ones this year. I'm not sure that that's any of them.
Thank you, Dollar Shave Club, and Juju Gotti and all the hardworking staff that don't get enough credit on this show that help make March Sadness 2023 a huge success.
Is Juju Gotti executive producing the show any of the next couple of days? Because he's coming down
Again,
here.
you just say whatever comes to mind, huh? You just no filter, no.
I just don't know. Look,
just
man,
don't want
we're
to talk about it
competing-
behind the
we've
scenes.
got people competing for executive producer, and when you get in here, you come in here with your LA stories and your wrestling stories, and you dominate. You're dominating these microphones that everybody wants. That
Keep
everybody
saying
around
that,
here
it
wants.
bothers me. I don't like it. So I start talking, and he's just like, "Shut up! You talk too much." Like, what work environment do we have over here? I'm here to help you.
I know.
You don't think so?
But you're the reason that
Babe,
everyone thinks
I just
they
flew
should
back
be at
on a red eye.
microphones.
I just flew back on a red eye to be here for support because I know this move brought to you by Miller Lite is so difficult for you. Next time, I'll just take a personal day and nap.
Stugotz, this is don't try and pretend like you
We should
haven't been
thank you.
running up Metal Arc tab all over Los Angeles trying to make movies like you're doing us a favor.
That was there's a lot of personal expense, but I took some people to dinner, babe. So you'll be
Okay.
you'll be hearing.
Do you have an expense account?
It's kind of case by case.
Do you have a credit card?
Do I have a company credit card? No. I'm a very responsible employee.
You should have one, though, right?
Yeah, I'd like one.
Yeah.
I'd like a Metal- No, I would like a Metal Arc card.
Augusta right now.
Yeah.
A little ramp card.
Right. I'm going to France to watch my racehorse run. I would like to put that on Metal Arc.
When
if that's
is
okay.
that?
April 18th.
Wow.
Yeah, in Lyon, France.
Right around the corner.
It is, indeed. Yeah. So we'll build that to Metal Arc.
That's a Tuesday. Will you not be here?
You know what? I didn't realize that was a Tuesday. I didn't look ahead. We're going to have to see about that. You know, if Skipper will, pay for the flight at least. I'm not even asking for lodging. Just pay for my flight.
Very nice of you.
Yeah, and I'll report from Lyon.
That's fair.
You know, I'll send in a video.
big race,
tweet
yeah.
something out.
Yeah.
Make it worth the show's while. Let's get that done, man. You guys got plenty of money, right? No, that's what I heard. That's what I read in the Business Daily, whatever those things are called. Whatever reports on major deals, FOP, what's it called? Front Office Sports, I think that's called. That's where I first read about the
That'd be FOS, right? That'd be
merger.
FOS.
Yeah, it is FOS, not FOB. I was thinking of Fraternal Order of
It
Police.
would probably be more FOS.
It is Front Office Sports. Yeah, that's where I first heard about the WWE UFC merger. Are they? Is that what's going to be the effect of that? Like I'm picturing the UFC octagon is now going to have ropes. Like, is it going to be? Are the two sports going to meld together because of that? I'm not a fan of either sport, so I'm honestly curious.
But if you combine them, maybe.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
because WWE elevates a little to a real sport, and UFC lowers a little to a clown show. That's the way I see it. So they're going to meet in the middle. They're going to become one amalgamation to become a single entity. That's what's going to happen. Look for it over the next year.
You think UFC is slumming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you know why? Here's why. Because WWE recognizes it's just entertainment. They don't even pretend to be real. UFC was moving up the ladder of legitimacy despite Dana White, despite their leadership. And now all of a sudden, UFC's in bed with the clowns. You know, that's the way I see it. Granted, I'm not a fan of either sport, but from an outsider's view, that's the way it looks to me, and perhaps to others who are casual followers of
I
the
think
two.
you should end your takes instead of with "that's the way I see it" and you know it.
Yeah.
I think that should be like the dismount.
Just an automatic
your,
dismount?
on your takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
And you know it.
I want to read to you a tweet, Stugotz, from J.J. Watt.
What happened?
It's a beautiful view somewhere that he is. He is coming off of a very popular tweet where he saluted Taylor Swift for being the most amazing of the performers, and then for some reason ended the tweet with the word touche. And I don't think he knows what touche means. I'm not sure. He may know what
does it mean?
I don't. I don't
Jeremy Touche.
no, he was just saying Taylor Swift, amazing performer. she works really hard and she does a great show. And then he said touche at the end. Maybe he was I just don't know why he said touche. But regardless, now he's into the drink a little bit, and it's a beautiful view, Stugotz, and he wants to show you that his beautiful view is a beautiful view. And this is what he has to say about it. Might be the frozen cocktails making me talkative, but there's never a bad time for some gratitude. I'm forever grateful for every NFL fan who has ever bought a ticket, purchased a jersey, or tuned in to a game on TV. I'm fully aware this life I'm fortunate enough to live with my family is because of you. Thank you. Prayer hands emoji.
Oh, wow.
What's wrong with that?
Touche.
I like that. Yeah.
What's wrong with
He was
that?
in Hawaii, Dano. Ah, great view.
The Big Island.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with some gratitude?
Nothing wrong with some gratitude. He is simply wanting to show us the view, though, and that he's having frozen cocktails and that his life is great.
He's not thanking you. He's showing you the view.
It's a good view.
It's a great view.
We, in his mind, we helped pave the way for that view. Yeah. It was very nice of him. You express gratitude all the time on this show.
That is correct. I just don't generally do it from a private plane. I don't generally do it
I do.
in a way that is surrounded by opulence that I want to make sure to show you.
Yeah. But you will a week from now.
That's right.
Thanks to our good friends over at Miller
For the
Lite.
love of God.
How many
Mike.
calories?
96.
That
96
can't be
calories.
right.
It's you know what? It's light on calories, but not light on flavor.
That's right.
Yeah, it really isn't. Tell me about it.
It's a beer that is meant for people like you and me, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
People,
Especially me.
People who like their light beer to taste, well,
Mike,
light
go
beer.
sit in the penalty
It
box.
does.
Go sit in the-
Wow,
go
it
sit
took
in the
this
penalty
long.
box. Honest to God, knock it off. No, enough, man.
Have
enough.
you ever cracked open a can of Miller Lite, taking that first?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We're not
Are
going to
we,
sell out like that. We
He's
gotta,
right.
gotta have more class than that.
Are we sending Greg to France or what? I mean,
It's a good
I'd
question.
like to. We've already negotiated down from lodging and airfare to just airfare.
Just airfare.
I'm going to take my own. What do they call it? Do they have Uber in France? I don't even know. What do they do in France?
Uber.
Uber. Is it a trolley? Like what? I've been to France twice, but
minutes for being the only person to protect a goddamn sponsorship in this company? Okay, cool. Good talk, everybody. Promo code Dan available wherever you get beer.
I'm telling you that the next incarnation of the studio, the next penalty on that is people talking after I've sent them to the penalty boxes. I'm going to send you like to the Torch of Freedom or something. It's going to be blocks away, and you're going to have to walk through traffic.
The Bayside?
Yes, I'm
Freedom
telling.
Tower,
Look, we
fine.
got cameras that will follow you. We got now actual cameras that will follow you all the way. Like I'm going to make people really walk if they don't start respecting the penalty box and the idea that it means silence, so that I can have the show back that you guys keep stealing from me in this 20-year prison that keeps growing.
20 years in the tube.
And
Stugotz, what's the matter, buddy?
I mean, just one time. I mean, 40 years of rooting for this team. Just one time I wanted my team to play in that big game in that beautiful dome in Los Angeles.
Dome? What about the elements? Back in my day, we didn't play in a dome.
Let me tell you, back in my day, we considered football to be an honorable game. We didn't have to pass the ball every single play, and that's how we did it back in my day. It's the cold in December and sweltering two-a-days. It's embracing occasional punts, and don't get me started on instant replay. Now we're cooking with gas. Watch out! I'm not done, by the way. Let me tell you, back in my day, there was no showboating. We respected the game. We sat on a stoop and let the radio play, 'cause that's how we did it back in my day. It's the wishbone I wish for. It's a toss to Red Grange. It's a first down without